Hello everybody, my name is Susan Coles and welcome to a little cosy corner of my workspace. And in the words of all those great people who use Zoom, I'm just about to share my screen. So here we go. And let's get the first slide up, because the first slide will give you the context of what I am talking about today. And to be really honest with you, throughout the whole of the last year, I have particularly been keen on getting people to reflect on why it is they do what they do. And I have been invited to make a number of statements and workshops around this. So you've obviously read the description, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I'm not going to give you a kind of a long list about who I am because my bio is also available. But I would like to thank the organisers of this fantastic celebration of creativity, Emma and her team, for the opportunity for me to listen to and to look at other people who celebrate the arts, and for me to be able to share my, hopefully, knowledge and expertise. So it kind of starts academically with looking at the work of Donald Shawn and the reflective practitioner. Because what Shawn describes in his book is it's all about us thoughtfully considering our own experiences so that we can apply knowledge to practice, while at the same time within our work environments we kind of are coached by professionals within the discipline that we are working in as well. But what reflective practice does is it just gives you a deeper understanding. Now, I'm an artist who works in education, so I get to think about my own teaching style, and therefore through reflective practice I can improve my effectiveness as a teacher, whether that's of young people or older people or lifelong learners. And the other thing that it does is it kind of validates your ideals. So you're thinking, well, why is it that I do what I do? So it kind of questions tradition, and it also gets me in my role to recognize that what I do is actually artistry. Teaching in education is artistry. And I look for different ways of applying theory, and I look for different ways of engaging with an audience, which is the most important thing. And always reminds me of what Socrates said at his trial, that the unexamined life is not really worth living. So I've got a really long job description, which actually started off as an email signature, as a little bit of a joke a few years ago. And I therefore wear many hats, but I do it by choice. And most of the people that are listening to this will be teachers or artists or educators from some kind of creative setting. And I think if you're in a school at the moment as a teacher, as an educator, you're also a social worker, a nurse, a sanitizer, a cleaner, a policeman or woman, an outdoor learning instructor with, at the moment, several layers of clothing on. But you're also lots of other things, aren't you? You're a mother, you're a father, you're a sister or a brother, you're a friend, you're a son or a daughter. You might be a carer, a lover, a dreamer, a walker, a wanderer, a reader, a writer. You are your own self and not what your badge defines you as. And that at this point in time makes me wonder if you could rip up or tear up your lanyard or your job description. What would you write for yourself? It's a little task for you that you can think about during this presentation and after this presentation. But you know, when do we actually have the time to think about what we are or who we are? We know what we are, it's who we are, isn't it, deep down, that we're exploring today. And maybe did some aspects of lockdown offer you those opportunities, maybe in those summer months in particular. Did you have some time at home when you saw a side of your life that you hadn't appreciated before? We all had different experiences, though, obviously, and some people's have been coloured by bereavement and tragedy and illness. But we're all at the moment also experiencing a level of anxiety because our once identity, our once routine, it's changed. And it will never, ever go back to what it was, despite what the politicians say. I'm really proud in my work to be part of communities of practice. And in my community of practice, many of us are artist teachers. And we often ask that question, don't we? We say, can we be an artist? Can we be a teacher? Can you be a dancer? Can you be a musician? Can you be the drama queen or the drama king? Well, actually, history tells us that we can. Why is it that we do what we do? It's a fundamental question. From my point of view, I only ever went into art education because I loved art. So I can now be teacher as practitioner, teacher as learner. That's very significant. And if I was working in classrooms every day of the week, young people would benefit from me being engaged in my own practice. And certainly a lot of the work that I do with adults, they benefit from the fact that I am engaged in my own practice. And it doesn't have to be significant. I don't have to be having exhibitions around the world. Like a musician amongst us today doesn't have to be playing in an orchestra internationally. Like the dancer doesn't have to be on the stage of Sadler's Wells Ballet. Whatever I do, if I scribble on the back of an envelope on my desk on the right-hand side of my room, then I'm being an artist. If I whistle a tune when I'm chopping away at a hedge in the garden, then I can be a musician. We have to be really careful about not packaging things and labeling things. And, you know, most of us here, or a lot of us here, we're teachers. You don't drift into teaching and you don't succeed without a really strong sense of moral purpose. Our founding moral purpose has to be that at the moment we fight against a mountain of day-to-day obstacles for mental and emotional balance within us. And we are often too busy. And when you are too busy, that's a key factor in both reducing our strategic and our immediate consciousness of moral purpose. All of this comes from the inspirational work of reading Michael Fullan, by the way. And we know that teachers and leaders are very, very, very busy. Twitter is awash with head teachers saying that their current job is unsustainable. So I wonder really how you all feel right now, you know, about your role within wherever your working environment is. The one thing that comes up consistently all the time with me and my work is that there's never enough time to do all the things that you do. And it reminds me of that wonderful lyric in the song Beautiful Boy, Darling Boy, that John Lennon wrote, which is life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Now, this is Lewis Mumford. I love Lewis Mumford. You've probably never heard of him, but he was one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century, a historian, a sociologist, a philosopher, a literary critic. And he said that the most influential invention in human history wasn't the fire or the wheel or the printing press or the steam engine, but the clock that came a long time ago, but which became the herald of the Industrial Revolution. And the measurement of time, which began with the invention of the sundials in Egypt, okay, and then moved on to us and all of our clocks, that has created a situation, sorry, I've missed a slide out there, where we have taken time and used it to completely rule the world that we live in. So what Mumford talks about is that we have created very large hierarchical organizations, mega machines, and they use humans as their components. So you could look at how the Egyptians used the mega machine to build the pyramids. You can look at what we have now in society that we live in, whether it's science, economy, techniques, political power. What it does is it kind of unifies communities of interpretation, which make the mega machine the most dominant part of our lives, and it takes the sort of things that we value about our own emotional lives. It takes that and our life-enhancing values, and it diminishes them because we live in the shadow of the machine. And, you know, the subversions of that authoritarian kingdom that we live in, as Mumford says, it begins with the area of human contact that can't be successfully repressed. No matter what they try to do, they can't take away your feelings about yourself, even though they may not be exposed and shared. So we're kind of trapped in that mega machine, everybody. The machine is therefore far more important than the individual elements in it. And that's you, and that's me. And I want for a minute just to look at the iceberg diagram that you might be familiar with, because it's under the surface that counts. This is really what we are. What we have visible above the water about us are the environmental factors that create our behavior, and they're often something that is kind of copied, really. So it's external or conscious. It's what we can see, the tip of the iceberg. So sometimes that also involves our beliefs. But the internal or the subconscious part of culture is below the surface of a society. And that's where we're very individual, because we have beliefs and values and thought patterns that underlie our behavior. And I personally, I believe that you need to be true to yourself, that you need to have integrity, beliefs, personal values, honesty, sincerity, unwavering, non-negotiable principles. You have to be complete, authentic. You have to live by what is and what is not acceptable to you. Your own morals, your own ethics, your sense of right and wrong, your honor. Don't be false. Just live for the truth of what you believe in. And then on a more positive note, that's there. And I found it. And I found it through being an artist teacher. And this is an author called Jim Dykand, who's written a book that made me think a lot about that. And made me think, is it just somebody that balances a career, has this 1 minute, has that the next minute, or actually does a dual activity of making art and teaching art, which makes it more profound and important. So he likes in his book to explore what we previously thought was an understanding of artist-teacher. And it looks at a really robust history across art history from kind of classical era to 21st century. Looks at people like Walter Gropius, Richard Hamilton, Victor Passmore, and people who were very successful artist teachers. And of course, because many of his examples are male, I kind of come up with my own list where I try to get more of a gender balance in there. And I've even put a couple of my art teachers up there, because to me they are. And of course, what happens with say, Paul Raymond and Louise Clazy, right? Art teachers in the Northeast, the young people that they work with, they really benefit because their teachers engaged in their own practice. That's so, so important. And their teacher will get excited about what they're doing, and they won't be afraid to share their work or to make mistakes alongside their pupils, and to allow creativity to just take them in any direction. I am also lucky to be part of networks out there that also celebrate what we do as communities of practice. So, for example, Sketchbook, Circle, my own network in the northeast of England. I do a lot of research myself around living networks, how nature has networks and how human beings have networks. And I've read some amazing books, one of which is called The Wisdom of Crowds, which I would recommend to you. And in the northeast, we have this rich group of educators who just share what they do, and we're very non-hierarchical, we're very accepting. I've also got the privilege of being a member of the International Society for Education in Art and Design, who are the UNESCO organisation for visual art education, and through my work with them have been involved in creating a manifesto for visual art education, which we know is being used in many, many countries, and we have translated into many languages. And if you are an arts teacher looking holistically at the arts, then you should download Elliot Eisners' 10 lessons that the arts teach, to look at how the arts creates opportunities across the whole of a curriculum in those transferable skills, and in that kind of mindset that the arts can create in people of all ages. And, we talk about cultural capital all the time, and we try to say, oh, well, the kids come to us and they can't do this and they can't do that. They've got quite a rich seam of cultural capital in them before they even come to meet you. So I think it's really important that we think about the fact that everybody's got that potential, and we have to unlock that potential, but not to impose our own beliefs on it, which is why I have a real problem with the knowledge-rich curriculum at the moment. If you don't know enough about networking in your own subject, have a look at the directory of the CFSA and find your fellow dance teachers and music teachers and creative writers. Think about time, because you see, you can't find time. If you look for it, it isn't there. So when you say I haven't got the time, you need to stop and you need to make it. You need to find that quiet place where you think. You need to sit there and do your thinking and your reading and your scribbling and your listening to music or podcasts. You need to do that. You need to give yourself time to become who you are, because it's not really what you are on the job description, it's who you are. So biologically, physiologically, we're not so different from each other. But historically, as narratives, we are, each of us, unique. Think about that. Put aside a lot of time yourself to connect and be creative. This is how I'm going to end this session today. I'm going to end it with a little piece of writing which was created by an illustrator called Wendy McNaughton and Courtney E. Martin. It's based on something that happened to Toni Morrison, the American writer. She woke up the day after George W. Bush was re-elected in a sense of despair, and was kind of, oh, what's the point? And then she had one of those wonderful moments when she said to herself, do you know what? This is precisely the time when artists go to work. And she wrote her electrifying case for the artist's task in troubled times. And so what Toni Morrison said, there's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear, because this is how civilizations heal. So this is your assignment, art people. Feel all the things, feel the hard things, the inexplicable things, the things that make you disavow humanity's capacity for redemption. Feel all the maddening paradoxes. Feel overwhelmed, feel crazy, feel uncertain, feel angry, feel afraid, feel powerless, feel frozen, and then focus. Pick up your pen, pick up your paintbrush, pick up your damn chin, put your two calloused hands on the turntables, in the clay, on the strings, get behind the camera, look for that pinprick of light. Look for the truth. Yes, it is a thing. It still exists. Focus on that light. Enlarge it. Reveal the fierce urgency of now. Reveal how shattered we are, how capable of being repaired. But don't lament the break. Nothing new would be built if things were never broken. A wise man once said, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Get after that light. This is your assignment. And this is how I will end this presentation. The arts will survive, absolutely, anything and everything, because we are part of human history. And our duty is to carry that flag and to action what we believe, because we know that we can and we will make a difference. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I can now find the button that takes record off, because it doesn't always work for me, but there you go. Stop.